Okay, so I wanted to follow up on the Rive random exits. I've experimented with some more fun things to do here. So let's see what we are going to be building. If I hit the play button, we will see how each one of these timelines only gets played once, and they get eliminated one by one once they've been played. So as we can see, that is random, and it will select in any order and only play once. So how do we achieve this? Well, there's a bunch of things we've got to do. We've got to set some inputs, we've got to set some listeners, and we've got to fire off some events. So to demonstrate this, I think it might just be better if I make a new one. So let's duplicate the middle. We will then just move this position to bottom left. Okay, we'll call it a bottom left. Okay, we'll go back to our state machine. We'll drag bottom left in here, and we will connect it. Okay, I gotta connect that back. Now, obviously, it's not going to play. There's no condition playing it. Okay, so let's go set some conditions. So yeah, we've got a variable. We say if the condition is true, then you're allowed to play it. So let's go add a new boolean for the bottom left. Okay, and we're going to say if bottom left is true, then you're allowed to play it. Okay. Great. Okay, so and then we want to exit at 100% of that timeline. So once it's finished playing, it will just come back to middle, and that's all we're looking for right now. Then on the bottom left itself, so select this, you're going to add an event and say, well, got to create that event first, obviously. So I'm going to go and say event, new event, add it over here. I'm going to call the event bottom left. Okay. I leave everything else as normal. And then we're going to fire this event on exit. Well, on the start of that's fine. Okay. Okay. Now from there, we've got to click on Artboard, and we'll see there's an event listener targeted to Artboard. So I'm just going to select Artboard, make a new event listener, and say played bottom left. And it's going to check for the event bottom left and then set bottom left to false. Great. That's done and dusted. Everything's hooked up. I'm going to turn bottom left on by default here so that it's on. And we can go check this out now. Problem is, seems to have played it twice. Why is that? Yep, it fires off twice. Well, let's go find out why. Okay, so we exit on 100. The conditions needs bottom left needs to be true for this to play. Bottom left. Oh, wait, we didn't set anything. There, bottom left. Okay, now we check it again. Boom. And we're all hooked up. Okay, so let's quickly look at some undesirable effects you might be getting here. If you go into the timelines over here, and we add some duration to them, it's gonna make the animation smoother, which is exactly something I would want to move from one timeline to the next, so that we have a really nice animation rather than these jumps. Okay, so we're gonna just add these durations in here. Now all this is basically doing, it's telling it that on the way back, take 100 milliseconds to transition between these two timelines. And then the same thing over here. On the way out, take 300 milliseconds to transition to this timeline. So what you'll get is this. There we go. Okay, and then obviously on this you can go put some interpolation. I'm not really worried about that right now. So that would just ease it in and out basically. Okay. But that's not the important part right now. So what we're getting is it's coming back to the middle every time, and that's exactly how we set it up. So it's not that surprising. However, if you really wanted random states of moving around somewhere on a map, or an enemy dodging something, it's very easy for the player to just come and annihilate the middle every time. So let's look at how we solve that. Okay, first we're going to duplicate the state machine. I'm going to disconnect the current state machine. We're going to remove all our relationships. Whoops. There we go. Once these have all been removed, I'm just going to line them up, and we're going to start using this any state. So we're going to hook any up to all of them. Okay. So now that any is hooked up, it's always going to play the first one. And we want to change that, obviously, to randomize and get the same behavior that we had before. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, we go to any state. We say randomize exit. We set up a probability or a factor. So let's make them all equal, and let's hit play. Awesome, disco, disco. So on these, I'm probably just going to want to add a duration of 300, and now we're firing off and moving randomly like we would have expected, without some random middle value, which is highly predictable. So I'm going to publish this file to the community. Feel free to check it out. I've renamed the first state machine middle return. You would just have to connect that state machine if you want to use it. And then if you want to use the no middle with just all the random stuff, the second one's already connected. And you can apply all the same things we've learned before to the exact same thing over here. So go grab the file, check it out, play around with it a bit.